to this computer. All right, here you are. Welcome to the interview with Matilda and Lucian. You take it from here.
Sounds good. Yeah, so I'm a student at OSU, and as part of a horticulture class, we're talking about uh, what sort of careers you want and trying to explore the different ranges of horticulture and how you get there. So I reached out to you because the intersection of my background is farming and teaching, and I'd love to see that in a more hands-on career. I taught preschool for many years, and then I taught elementary in Corvallis and had the opportunity to farm and teach at the same time, and would love to do that more in practice rather than separate.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, that's awesome. That's I you never be hungry if you grow food and you teach people, you know what I mean? And it's just like so human. That's like it's just it's just like such a big part of who we are, you know. I think we all have it in us, and some of us just are called to it more than others. So I look forward to your questions to see maybe I can help you maybe see or at least understand what does it take to do something like that to farm
Yeah.
in the same time. So I'm open to it.
Yeah. So what led you to teaching permaculture and starting your own permaculture farm?
Uh I think I grew up around it. I grew up in two kind of like homestead environments on the my grandparents on both sides. One was in a rural side, one was in a kind of more suburban setting. So one was rural, one was suburban setting, and both families grew food with different kind of like grandma on one side was raising chickens and pigs and a big veggie garden. The other one had like goats and ducks and fruit trees. Um, and I think at one point, the community that I lived in, the culture I lived in, started to move away from that, and I moved away from that. And then as an adult, I would say in my 20s, I went to school. I studied world problems and how to solve them. And then one day, kind of like it dawned on me, just kind of like seeing this beautiful place. I always mention it, the Ecology Center in San Juan Capistrano. I think Leana knows about it too. It's a nonprofit educational place that was demonstrating, regenerative permaculture, gardening originally. Now they're demonstrating farming. And I was like, oh, wow, this is the answer to the world problems, this kind of thing. And then it was really easy for me to reconnect with that because I grew up like that. So I just saw it as my contribution to a more beautiful world that I desired out there. And I've done so many other things before that: suit and tie, solar panel, blah blah blah, all kinds of stuff like that. But just really growing food and with people in community, and that really resonated with me. Did that answer your question? What got me here? Right? Is
That's
is
the
that
path that led me there.
yeah, is that kind of like what you were looking for, like the more spiritual path to there?
Yeah, both the more spiritual and like what led you, and then on the other side, what degree did you get? And do you feel that the more suit and tie work you did aids your work now and the way you teach?
Did you say the more student work? Is that what you said?
Suit and tie, but
Oh,
student as
oh.
well.
Well, I
Your
think that helps you more realize that, suit and tie has its place in people's lives. But anyway, okay, so uh I I came to the United States in 2001. I got my visa one day before 9/11, and I got here like during that time. So really blessed, really fortunate. And I don't know why I had this kind of like this. I've always had a desire to have a farm, but I had no clue how that's going to look like. So I had a specific image in mind with that. But in the same time, not but, and in the same time, I came from a place where I saw a lot of kind of like degradation, a lot of kind of poverty, and the society I came from, Romania, was like in such a transition, um throughout the entire 90s, that I had like this desire to do something. Like I just said earlier, I had this vision of contributing somehow to world peace and a beautiful future. And so I pursued, my bachelor's was actually in international relations. That's what it was in my context, in my mind, that's how I'm like, I didn't know exactly what that's going to look like, but I thought, okay, international relations. Okay, you're creating relationships between people. Let's see how that goes.
Mhm.
So that was all about studying, on one side business, how does international relations from a business point of view, and then diplomacy, where like how does it look like from like a government point of view. But also I studied a lot about people's cultures and religions and people from around the world, and even if I didn't realize it then, the thread right now, reflecting on it and reflecting on it later, the thread was always like agriculture was a big part of society, and it's so funny because history didn't speak so much about it. And then I got a master's degree in global leadership and sustainable development. So that was a continuation of the global leadership part, was like, how do I lead? And again, it wasn't like from a top down kind of like approach, the way that was taught. And this was in 2010, I started my master's anyway. And then the sustainable development part of it was, okay, leadership, how do you work with people to make sure that we work well together, that we maintain peace, that good relations, blah, blah, blah. And then, a lot of like leadership and organizational kind of like skills and all that. And then on the other side, in sustainable development, was the conversation of like, wow, look at our planet. We have a lot of ecological problems. Definitely the climate change was a conversation, yet the more focus was kind of like, we're cutting the forest, we're destroying agricultural land, we're polluting kind of the soil, air, and water. There wasn't necessarily like the carbon in the air conversation, even though it existed, but the focus was on, okay, so with that said, how do we solve that problem? And there were like the technological things. Okay, let's move towards, let's say solar panel technology, so we don't have to burn fossil fuels, or and then right now we're learning that there are pollution issues with that too, maybe not the same, but there's like also issues with that, so we have to always innovate on technology while we're piling up the trash, which that was the conversation then. And then it
Do you think
always
that
got,
conversation has changed?
say it again.
Do you think that conversation has changed, particularly now, like when you're working with young people who are seeking that out?
Well, it has changed if you're staying tuned and you're not being, I mean, I'm not trying to be any conspiracist or anything, but if you're not being duped by the corporations that produce these things, because if you're a corporation and you produced 1 billion solar panels, you have to sell them. You can't say, oops, sorry, we created all this and then you're going to have to throw them in the trash and then we're going to pile up. No. They're not going to do that. That's why I wanted to get there. The agroecology part of it is like more human. It's more achievable and touchable by more people. Like I cannot build a solar panel on my farm, but can I grow a lot of food? Oh yeah. Can I build soil? Yeah. Can I reforest? Can I bring wildlife? Can I feed people? Can I teach other people how to do that? 100%,
More
right?
acceptable change.
So that is the grassroots, and I get goosebumps when I talk about this, and thank you for this interview, because even in this we have some problems, because there are people that are looking at this more and more as a profit, and there's nothing wrong with profit, and if you're thinking just about profit and you leave everything behind, then you can actually really steal the momentum of what's possible with agroecology. So for example, I can tell you right now, I work with USDA programs. The job that I have is funded by USDA. On Saturday, I'm having a workshop and there's going to be some USDA people there. And it's pretty beautiful because they have a lot of knowledge about regenerative agriculture. And in the same time, they're still dabbed into using genetically modified, organisms, for example, when it comes to seeds and plants and all that. They're still promoting, certain practices that are, like dealing with invasive species still with pretty hardcore pesticides. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But they're definitely, so again, that's 20%. It's amazing to see what USDA is doing. Actually 20% is still pretty, like somebody from the future that I'm from, would never dab with that. um and in the same time just have that patience and just be part of that solution. Like this is the first full on farm composting workshop in Missouri. Okay, and I am teaching it. So and I barely have any people registered because it just takes a lot. Okay, so back to answer the question about what kind of work to do. Here's the answer to that. Once I discovered that, being part of the agroecology part of it, like agriculture with ecology in mind, permaculture, uh,
Mhm.
I started to take more training. And it had an amazing role in my life. Like when you do both the theory part of it in school and then be involved in type of schooling that is practical and it's hands-on. And not to bash regular institutions, you are learning at an amazing institution. You are at a beautiful institution. Um, did you mean to stop? Is that what you mean with a hand?
Oh, no, like, that was a yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
I feel
Okay.
very lucky.
Yeah,
Just
it's
a
a
hint.
beautiful. I mean, you have what's his name? Millicent, Andrew Millicent. I mean, he is
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
are you familiar with who he is in your
I haven't taken his courses, but if you go to OSU, you know Andrew Millicent.
the most amazing dude out there in this realm. I mean, he's so creative the way he teaches and using technology and actually doing practical things. So I believe that hands-on is really important and it has to be meshed with, the classroom work. And it's the most beautiful thing is like if you do classroom work and then you can also go in the field in the same time. So you can kind of like
Mhm.
be part of the evolution of your learning. I believe learning, it starts with a question. Why is the sky blue? And then you try to answer yourself with whatever knowledge you have from behind, and then like the teacher that's there is able to like filling all the rest of the gaps. And the most creative ways to do it is to like have you touch the sky, like so that like, oh okay, like touch the answer, like this is why it's blue. So again, not to bash educational institutions, I just think they have to evolve a lot. I know like Leanna, um, your partner went to a school where she learned a lot hands-on, and
Mhm.
that is just so valuable. Because if you're just in the class, you're just getting that, and you're like your imagination may take you in the like not correct places. And then if you're doing it hands-on without that background, you're kind of like reduced to this little, just like one thing. You just screw the screw, but you don't know where the screw goes in the entire machine. So it's beautiful to understand, for example, about the um, um, food soil web, soil food web, and then like go and see it on a microscope and then also see what's happening, right? So like time passes and all that. So I took a lot of those practical hands-on classes, and I was also very fortunate to be a very fast learner, and having the degrees I had in the past opened a lot of doors. I know now when I'm hiring people myself and I helped other people hiring, I'm looking to see, because when you have a degree, and again, it's an invitation to kind of like take this, like when I'm looking at a resume and I look at the educational experiences, it tells me the individual had the patience, they had the dedication, they had the focus. And I know what happens in college. There's all kinds of distractions. And even with all those distractions, this person was still able to go through. And the more hands-on people get, the more I'm inclined to say that's the person, because they get it that you have to understand the theory, or at least like try to, and then go out there and and practice. So
Mhm.
I did do a lot of training, and that had a lot of value. So my degrees had a lot of value to open doors and to help me, because when you go to school, you don't really learn something specific. You learn how to think. And then when you go to the practical stuff, it's like, it's amazing. So I think that's how education should be in anything. If you build rockets, or if something just popped in my head. If you were, what do you call it, stock market investor, maybe you should go and lose your money so that you understand how it works.
Impact of your
When
work.
exactly, like, just be on the floor. So I hope that answered my 2-hour answer there.
Yeah. So with all that knowledge and experience, how does your day to day look?
Okay, so what's so beautiful is that I've been so many times in a space where I said, this is the life, this is what I want to do. And then I discovered that, I discovered the things that I didn't like, or the things that were difficult for me, difficult in a way where it I do this all the time, I can tell you right now, and I invite everybody to do. You have to check in with yourself all the time and say, kind of like, what am I grateful for? That's like such a no-brainer. We should be doing that every day. But when it comes to like career, and when it comes to career, just have a check-in. What am I grateful for in my career? Okay. What am I really good at? You should make a list of 10 things. And if it's difficult, sit there and do them. I'm going to do them after this conversation, because I haven't done my check-in yet. I'm supposed to do it in November. What am I grateful for in my career? What am I really good at? And what would I like to learn? Or what am I having difficulty and I like to learn further? Or what do I not know? So at different times in my career, I got to these points where I was so excited for so long, and then certain things burned me out. So for example, teaching in a specific way burned me out. Like teaching all the time, the same thing. um and then also farming got to me, like basically being boots on the ground every day, all day, which I've done lately more than before. That
Mhm.
also burned me, and that's where I saw, like, wow, I like to farm and I like to teach, and then I like to do it in a way where it's not burning me out. Okay. So
Mhm.
I'm fortunate right now, after all the experiences that I had, to have kind of the flexibility to once again, uh and this is the beauty of it, and I hope this is inspiring and empowering to you, or whoever you're going to use this information, that in this realm, working with agroecology, I'm just going to say agroecology, like agriculture with ecological practices, right? um in this realm, you could refresh, you could restructure, and move within this realm in different directions, and like kind of like build upon the past or take new paths. You know what I mean? So I am
Yeah.
in a space where I can still do that, and it's only because I was dedicated to this realm and I did a lot of work, even if sometimes again I was like feeling the burn. Okay, so I'm pretty fortunate when it comes, and again, this is also because I did go through school, I did get the degrees, I did get that first job that was very low paid, I did do a lot of volunteering work, I did get myself and risked all kinds of different avenues in this realm. I'm also the type of business, I like to own my own time, versus working for somebody. But I did work for somebody, and I'm working for somebody again right now. It just works better with me. So let me give you an example. So right now, I am an area educator of horticulture. That's like, I'm hired by Lincoln University in Missouri. It's in Jefferson City. This is a beautiful, historically Black university. It's an 1890 land grant university, which is really beautiful to learn about, and kind of like, be part of like multiple movements, because so as an area educator, I am tasked with serving the underserved farmers, right? And it's not just like people of color that I'm serving, but women, single women with children, poor and uneducated farmers. And it's very humbling to meet these people. I get goosebumps again, because people could be generationally farmers or new farmers, and they have a specific idea and then they get into it, and without the type of information that and practice that I had the privilege to be part of, they're like it could be really hard for them. So I get to like do that. So I got hired on this job, and these, like, my supervisor is a PhD person. Everybody that I work for is a PhD. So I get access to all this super like highly researched, all the information is research. Yeah, so they're like geeks, you know what I mean? But they're also like very, very practical, and they love to do the work in the field, but they just got used to what they're doing. Like my boss, I can't believe I'm saying that. She does so much research and gets grants and all that. So from the beginning, she said, here's the goals of the program. I need you to serve 30 farmers, and you can do it by going and giving them one-on-one technical assistance with whatever they need, bring them to workshops like I'm having this Saturday, create research-based fact sheets and guide sheets, and provide that to them, simple to digest. And like, just this is like the goals. Go ahead and make that happen. Because she looked at my resume, she knew that that's what I've done in my career, right? I've done it hands-on. I know what it happens on the farm, and then I'm good at, like, as you can tell, at talking and going and connecting with people. So my day-to-day looks like, looking at my plan. I have like a little whiteboard here. This is actually my business plan on the whiteboard. I use that all the time. Here you go. You can take it if you want. Go ahead and try to do what I do. So my day-to-day looks like shifting between going to outreach, for example, to find new farmers, reconnecting with some farmers that I started to have plans with, how they're, like, how they're gonna like farm moving forward. And it's all about context. This is why permaculture is great for me to be a permaculture designer, because we look holistically at things. We're not just addressing your bug from last summer,
Mm.
So outreaching if I have to, reconnecting if I have to, creating new fact sheets on different things to see where the lack of knowledge is and what does the university not have yet. Or I can look into their fact sheets and guide sheets and say, here's your guide sheet on whatever, when to prune your trees and how to prune them, for example. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
here's a business plan for blueberries if you want to grow blueberries. And then, so it goes from that, outreaching, helping, creating new fact sheets, thinking about kind of like new programs. So that's part of that job. And I get to meet all these farmers, and I'm learning so much from them myself. So I can take that and teach others, and also improve my business. So my business with my partner, Anna Maria, we farm, we sell the local farmers market, we sell to the local community. We got chickens for eggs. We did a little bit of chickens for meat. Apologies for the vegans. We have milking goats, and then we grow veggies, all the spring, summer, and fall veggies. We also just planted berries and fruit trees. And our plan is to be basically all a vegetarian farm. Certain things that we did here, we just kind of like dabbed into to kind of like figure out. And now we're also, we got a grant to do compost here for the community. So the day-to-day to that is the same thing, which I love, that flexibility, building a plan and then executing, and then stopping a few times a year and reflecting on where are we going, is it working, let's move forward, kind of. And it feels good,
Mhm.
you know. And
Yeah, do
then
you feel it's sustainable and you have growth in this process and in your life?
yes, we had kids, and they weren't like, you know, they didn't give us a book and say, here's the instructions, page 1 through page 20, here's how you raise here's what's going to happen sometimes. Yeah, doing all of this with children is amazing. It's just a different kind of like experience, and I think it helped us grow both, like, our careers help us be great parents, and being parents help us have, deliver on our careers. I mean, my teaching style has changed a lot, the content, the quality, just like the kids, because at the end of it, we're all children. So yes, we do have growth. And I would like to say that some people are really good at discovering something that really works for them and moving forward. um like I said, I'm always like stopping and like reflecting to see if certain things that I thought that would work and I really like, if I should move forward with them or not. So I'll give you an example here. For example, we realized from the beginning our vision was not to raise animals for meat for the market, because we do have a carrying capacity on our farm here, and the morals and ethics that we have when it comes to like life and animals and like the ecosystem and all that didn't match with that. And we knew that it's very easy, it's a slippery slope to move in that direction, to basically raise animals for meat. So guess what, our assumption was right, but we wanted to try it, so we raised chickens for meat. And as profitable as that is, and that's why, exactly why people do it and big companies are doing it, as profitable as that is, and we gave these animals like an amazing life. I mean, we have acres and acres, and we did all rotational grazing and free ranging and all of that beautiful stuff. It definitely taxed us physically, mentally, and spiritually to do that. So we decided that we will continue to do it for ourselves, okay, and have the type of operation that would allow us to do things that are more close to our hearts. And I just love growing veggies and fruits, and looking at the fruit trees every year. This year we got like 5 apples and 12 plums, but next year, guess what, we're going to get so much more. um so there's growth, and there's patience, and there's the biggest thing is like you can create yourself a business plan and vision, and you always have to revisit to see where you're at. And in our case was like the kids definitely were like, oh, hold on 1 second, we can't work 8 to 10 hours a day anymore. When you're young, yeah, and you don't have children, but then you have to like you have to integrate the kids in that too. So if that means that we're not going to make, let's say, what, I'll just throw a number, we're not going to make $50,000 in produce sales and farm sales this year, and we're going to make 30, but we spend time with the kids and we raise the kids and we learn how to save money on this and that. But then that's like beautiful. So at the end of it, like these questions that you have to like really count in, what is your life looking like? What kind of life do you want to enjoy? I always encourage young people to work really hard when they're young, and think that fun is funner when you got your ducks in a row. Which is like with us, our not all of our ducks are in a row, but a lot of them are. you know? So it
You know,
feels good. Yeah, it
yeah,
feels good. So yeah.
yeah. Does that balancing the needs in life versus like the wants and the personal needs, do you feel that that economically is balancing out, or do you have moments where you feel like you're grabbing too much
Well,
or
the
not
the
enough?
the moment we stopped looking at it like that, we have to figure out the finances before everything else. The moment we stopped that thinking, that's the moment our life became like really beautiful, and we've been able to enjoy ourselves as partners, which I think is really beautiful for two people to be together and do this thing together. I gotta say, I meet a lot of people, and this is also like something to keep in mind for people that want to go in this direction. Being with somebody, this is my opinion. There's all kinds of opinions out there. Being with somebody that is like-minded and is in the same realm, it's like 90% of the battle, if you want to call it. It is so important. It's I've seen couples out there that one is a doctor, one is a politician, let's say, you know and I feel that life is so empty in a way. I've observed that. You can see it in movies, and I know it from reality too, because I meet a lot of like women, especially, that are so much in this realm, and their partners, be it if it's same-sex partner or father of their children, as I call them, that are not in that, and they're struggling so much. They're struggling so much to because they're pulling that cart. So I gotta say, either indoctrinate your lover in that direction, or find the one that like maybe doesn't have other
That's
things
in
that you
bed
want,
with
but
you.
oops, beep that out. Don't tell your partners I said so. But it's like it's so important. It's just so big to be on the same page. Um, Let me see. What was your question again? Oh yeah, the balance. Yeah,
Mhm.
you have to. One big thing that Anna Maria and I did, and we're both from the same realm. I think Lana told you a little bit. She's also, she's been through permaculture design. She's done design. She's done farming. She's one of the first urban farmers in Orange County. She's like designed a few urban farms that are still there and they work really well. And then she's a natural beekeeper. That's her big thing. Herbalist, that's like a big passion of hers, and she's learning a lot. And she loves to farm. Also, I mean, she loves being hands-on out there. So we were going such 100% in this direction, and then it felt like the kids was like a struggle. Like we were trying to get the kids along, but you can't get a 1 year old or a 2 year old along. So we had to find that balance. But I think, not but, and I think you have to figure out the other parts of life. You can't let go and not be part of your family. You can't, I think like that you create problems and you lack things and you won't be whole and complete. And therefore, you're not going to be able to farm and teach if you are not good in the other aspects, like especially your partner, your mating partner, I call it, your mating partner, and then your family, whatever friends you have, if you have friends, um, other things in life that complete you. It's
Mhm.
huge. I'm not gonna lie, the financial part is huge. Okay. So it has to work. And at the same time, it doesn't have to work first. Everything has to like, you know, so and you have to be open for you have to be open to failures for sure. And sometimes it's okay to just be like, just completely slam. So I was about to say, Anna Maria and I were focusing so much on this that we missed the part of the family, kind of. I'm not saying that we ignore it. It's just like we were like trying to make it something that it didn't want to be, forcing these things. You can't just like be, okay, mom, I'll see you next month on November 1st or something, and that's it. You schedule that in. No, you have to you have to be involved. I mean, I talk to my mom on a regular. She's all the way to Romania. I show her the kids. I mean, sometimes it's like this time during the day when I have something to do, but I'm gonna put time into that. And we call, Anna Maria's parents and just things like that. You know what I mean? And the moment we started to do that more and enjoy life, things just it's not like the business became better. It's just like we started to see things better. Because if you're
Mhm.
rushing towards achieving goals, then you're missing the joy of enjoying what's happening. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
and farming and teaching is just beautiful. Like usually I'm very anxious before workshops. I'm not anxious right now. So what if I mess up? I mean, I might mess up, but I've done it so
Yeah.
many times. There's no way I'm going to mess up. But if I do, I mean, I'm not doing something bad. I'm not teaching people to, I don't know, sell cigarettes or something. So, um,
You have faith in your work and your experience.
yeah. And,
And just life
to
balance
tie
makes
it
it
up,
easy to breathe.
say it again. Say it again.
Oh, just that it sounds like that your life balance has made it easier to breathe and rely on what you know.
Yeah. 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 We used to work 7 days a week. Then we said, let's make a full day. Like Sunday is our day. We know that in the summer, sometimes Sunday is not the perfect day to take off because, we have to be present in the community or whatever if we're doing something. I'm also in the Midwest in Missouri, and Sunday is like people go to church and don't do many things, but we're learning how does the culture work. We also have a big community here that have Sabbath on Saturday. So we've learned something from California doing all of our workshops on Saturdays. Now we have to think about, because that's a big community, and they come a lot from Oregon and from Seattle, Portland area, that moved in this area because they were able to sell their houses for exorbitant prices and bought land and started. Oh my, some of these people, they had no clue what they were about to do. It's like, I hope
Yeah,
some of these farmers, imagine you come from like a suburban house in Portland, Oregon, and you get yourself a cow and chickens. It's like,
so
oh,
that's like a huge like demographic change for
yeah,
who you're teaching. Like, how does that feel?
yeah, that,
Changing from like a land grant school, you're generally teaching farmers who've been farming. Do you? I guess you haven't been teaching farmers who've been farming because when you taught
well,
more in a community
the
college setting.
underserved farmers are usually about 20% of them are older farmers that couldn't keep up with the changes. Okay.
Mhm.
That have been affected a lot by the fact that they got stuck in getting, I'm just going to say, they're getting fertilizers from Ukraine. And when that stopped flowing, you know, and it's hard to change that mind. It's like no judgment. I get it. I get it. Like change is hard. I know that I've been through it. I've always like been very opinionated and like stuck with like, this is how it's going to work. But it's not like that. Like we have to be flexible. Um, Mostly I'm working with beginner and aspiring farmers, and these are the most underserved. There's all kinds of theories to it, especially in a place like this. Culture plays a big role. I'm from Romania, and I've traveled to different places. I've lived in different places, and I've always been open. Like for me, it was a shock, and I knew that I can adapt to it. I mean, therefore the hat. You know what I mean? Having long hair in the Midwest, doing business with people, it's kind of like you have to figure out how to fit in that because and again, this is not a negative judgment. This is just an assessment of the culture that you're in. And anywhere you go, I mean, if I farmed there where you at, I would have to analyze, okay, what am I selling? How am I approaching? And that doesn't mean to be a fake and change myself, but be like, okay, what do I bring to a table in a way that is culturally sensitive? And this is exactly why they hired me too, because they observed, well, it would be a big difference to send, and again, this is a reality. It would be a big difference to send a traditional, highly educated white male from this area to the people of color, the underserved here, compared to, okay, he's at least an immigrant that lived in California and Hawaii. So he has some of like this situational acumens and cultural kind of like, and of course my background, see, international relations, that bachelor's degree was good for me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, and it's beautiful because this is what you can ask your partner, Leanna. This is what I was telling them in the permaculture course. Don't do this for yourself. Don't do this for your little garden or your little project, your little farm. Just I'm trying to give you, not to give you, but to open your eyes to the power that you can have on transforming this world, you know. And I
Mhm.
feel so good about being here. A lot of people told me, like, I can't believe you left California. Well, yeah, when the gas is $8 a gallon, I'm sorry, I'm out of there. I gotta use my tractor until I put systems in place. You know what I mean? So
Mhm. Yeah.
be in this movement. It's so big. We need farmers. We need people. We need farmers that can educate. We need farmers that are dedicated to, farming because it's beautiful, and do it in a way where we are making ecological farming a way to do it. It has to be like that because otherwise, we're going to eat cardboard from, you know, from the big box stores and the fast food chains, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's not cool. Good food is good food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just check my notes real quick. Did we cover the bases? Lots of words. Um,
In summary,
yeah. So, and we talked a lot about just opportunities. When you really sought out connection and growth, like physical growth in land and in teaching to take care of the land. Did you intend that when you started? Like you definitely intended connection and education and
as
interested
prosperity, personal prosperity.
as personal prosperity, but also like as a career. When you stepped in, how did you say, how am I going to find opportunities? Um, and like you worked in solar panels and you worked, so I guess your opportunities came via your knowledge in
Yes,
in the more
you
corporate world.
answered the question. You know, it's like you have to go do multiple things. You have to be open to understand that if you have a vision for yourself to be in a space, vision is very important. Maybe we should have even started with that. Remember how I said when I came here, I knew that I wanted a farm. I didn't know how it looked like because how it looked like in my head then, of course, is very different how I'm still envisioning my space to become. So I'm envisioning my space as a permaculture farm school village. I mean, the words hopefully like give an explanation, right? Village,
Mhm.
school, and it's a farm, and it's permaculture, ecological. Everything is to heal community and the environment. um and I got here by keep on envisioning that future for myself at different points in my life. This is why I'm so dedicated to permaculture, because of that. I think it was 2013 when it really, even though I'd been in courses and classes before that, so that's a decade ago when it kind of like went like it really helped me create the type of vision that I want for my life. Okay. So um I did teach this class also on sustainability literacy, and I talk a lot about backcasting, which means you create a vision in the future, and then you look back. What kind of steps do you have to take to get there? Okay, are you there still? Did I lose you? Oh no.
Mhm. No, I'm here.
So vision is important. You want to envision yourself, like what's your future going to look like, and work on every aspect of it. So here's the type of visioning that I'm doing. I'm asking myself, okay, in 5 years from now, where am I at? So my answer is like, I think I'm here. Okay, who's around me? Oh, of course, my partner Anna Maria, my children, maybe even more children. You never know. Right now, we're looking
Hopefully.
at the numbers. I don't know. When it comes, we'll have a lot of labor in the future, but it's a lot of work. My mom, our elders, other young families with children, possibly or not, but people that are value the work, the type of work that we do, and we partner with them in the village. Uh,
Mhm.
okay, what's my business looking like? Oh, I'm growing food, a lot of fruits. I'm envisioning myself still going to the farmer's market saying, come and get my peaches and my plums and my cherries. They're the best. You know what I mean? Like, again, asking that question, what's my career like? And I'm still creating workshops on my farm. Beautiful. There are a lot of people, or, lately there are a lot of the right people around coming to learn. Um, I'm still, I'm in the past, I used to like really want to travel and teach a lot. Now that's changed. Now I'm like, oh, I want a lot of like free time so I can travel with my kids and get myself engaged with projects, right? So when I'm envisioning, I'm really clear about it. And it changes in time. I highly recommend doing that. Okay. So where am I at? How's my place looking like? Who's around me? What's my business like? What's my career like? Okay, for other people might be different. I also, like, for my career, I want to teach university. Okay, I still want to do that. And also another thing, I do want to be Dr. Toma. I know it's kind of like, sounds kind of like, like, hmm, I just have that ego to be Dr. Toma. Dr. Toma in making things better on the planet. You know what I mean? That's the type of ego I have. So that's part of it. Okay. So when I'm envisioning that, I backcast back and say, okay, so if I want to be there in 5 years, where do I have to be in 4? Right? Is it
Mhm.
possible to reach this specific, with the kids, it's pretty easy to plan them, trust me. But with other things, not so much. And then year 3, year 2, okay. And then what action do I need to do now to move to achieving this year, right? Um, and then when I look at that and make that analysis, that can take quite a lot of time, because I also have to look what's happening outside. What are the economic predictions, political, social? I mean, right now, and I don't want to sadden the conversation, right now it's really hard to plan for the future. Okay. So there is a certain type of adaptation that we need to have, where what we do moving forward is not hiding and being afraid. Okay, because then
Mhm.
who's going to do all these things that we want to do? Okay, that's one. So don't hide and be afraid. Two, what kind of actions, like, how am I going to be in this time? How am I going to deal with that? So one would be shut it down and focus on this. And I believe that that is not the way. And I want to say a really short side story. I think this is why my grandparents got caught off guard, because they lived in communism, and they understood, okay, communism is like this is what we need to do in order to thrive. But they weren't ready for the big change of the communism falling, for example, and they didn't know how to deal with it. So the same thing, I think we need to be connected and understand what's happening in there, but we need to be very smart of how do we move forward? How do we still do this work? And what does this work mean in the context of all things? And that's the hardest things to do. But still, we want to hope for the best and prepare for different type of situations and move in that direction. So to answer your question, of like, did I think, I desired it, I envisioned it, and then I look back, what do I have to do? So if I want to be Dr. Toma, does that mean that I'm going to have to do some schooling in the next 5 years? Because that's how much it could take. You know,
Mhm.
how does that look in the context of the other work I have to do? Well, maybe I can leverage what I do right now with my PhD friends, and then,
Mhm.
figure these things out. Maybe I can have somebody come and work and manage my farm, Leanna, and then I can do the rest of the work. You know what I mean? Which I've thought a lot about her since I've seen her farming. But everybody has their paths and do all kinds of things. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I think it did.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm just sitting in.
She's just listening as she's walking around. Um, yeah, I think that really does cover the question, and just digesting the words.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's yeah.
Okay. So tell me a little bit, where are you right now in your career, and kind of like, what do you want to do?
Yeah, so I have 2 more years of school,
A
and I will
bachelor,
have
you're finishing a bachelor's degree?
mhm, yeah, a bachelor's in horticulture with a sustainable focus.
Okay.
And yeah, right now we are both working in different forms of plant breeding, and I'm doing the laboring for vegetable breeding.
Okay.
Um, and it's not a side of agriculture I've worked in at all, and I find it very interesting to engage in that. And if that's the job I find after school, then I'm definitely going to do it, because it'll be interesting to see that perspective and gain more experience, and have a job. But I would really love to go back to teaching in a more hands-on practical setting, because
Mhm.
especially with early childhood, like you were saying, that burnout is real, and I loved teaching, but the community and connection and appreciation isn't there. And I want to apply the things that are fulfilling and are rewarding and are beneficial, and
Mm,
apply those to things that I have seen
mm,
that in life. And farming and hands-on work has been so beneficial to me personally, and I
mhm.
want to see that opportunity get to people who don't have it, because I wouldn't have. I grew up urban.
And I love that, and if I was to say anything that I've heard me talking a while back, okay? And one of the biggest things that I can tell me in your shoes right now is to be either less or almost have no attachment to outcomes. Whereas when you're doing something in the community, because when you are attached and things are not showing up the way you're pouring energy into it, that is the biggest drain. Okay. And I've done that a lot in my career as a teacher. Like, I mean, crying at night because, you know, and I didn't think of myself inadequate. That I've done the work on that, and I recommend doing things like that too. Like I always recommend to people Landmark Forum, for example. It doesn't matter where you're at in life. Do something that's helping you cognitively be strong and powerful, and leave the past behind. Like just be strong out there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like being very attached to the fact that like, wow, how can some of these people not see the opportunity that this practical knowledge is giving them? You know what I mean? And why can't they like move forward with that? And that's like a huge thing, to like not be attached but understand that your work, if you're being called to that, that's how I see it. And it doesn't have to necessarily be in a religious spiritual kind of way, but it is your personal calling. You want to farm and to teach farming, do it for the sake of that. And that know that the people that need to be affected by it will be affected by it in the way they need to be affected by it. Okay. Because otherwise we become very like religious zealots with that, and that could turn people off. This is what I have to always be careful here, because people are still excited about their jobs spreading pesticides everywhere, with a new, now they're not, oh, so great. I don't have to fly the plane. Now I have drones to drop the, cancer making stuff. And the conversation is very hard to have, because here's one aspect. The industry designed those, like, now you'll get it, like that you can't be upset. You have to have the patience, and you have to be innovative, and you have to be committed to it, but don't worry about the outcomes, because it will happen. Industry has designed, for example, the new drones that drop pesticides and fungicides and sometimes even fertilizers. They designed it for specific type of liquids. Like you can't think about that you're going to put vermicompost tea in it and drop it. There will have to be some changes to that. So you can't tell people to try to do that, but you could try to figure out how to change those drones to do carry vermicompost. But then you have to make the case for it, and so on and so forth. Okay. So there is a patience to it, and then you can't just be like completely attached to it. Like I just threw something at you right now about like these drones. You could actually at one point in your life be whatever, somewhere like that's implanted in your head. Now you can be part of that at one point. And maybe that's all. Maybe you don't like teaching all that. I'm just saying, like, if you were one of your students or somebody that you want to impact, and that's like amazing. That's amazing that that's happening. This is why I love just seeing a lot of my students doing all kinds of different things. So just do it because you're being called to do it. And you have to put a lot of work in it. You have to do a lot of free work. You have to risk and break. And that's why that balance in life is amazing. Like, always make time to go out with Leanna. Always make time and put importance to that, because if it's always in your head, I need to achieve that, then you're missing out. And then you would be like two old ladies in your 60s being like, oh my God, let's go out now. You know what I mean? And then you don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, it's possible. We just have to be, we have to have all the rest. We have to have everything. That sucks. We have to have everything figured out. We have to live life, you know. I'm not saying abuse it, you know, like go and that's not what they mean by carpe diem, to go abuse your life. It's like live it right. So thank you so much for doing this. This is such a,
Thank you.
maybe I'm gonna put this on my Facebook and say, go ahead and learn something, somebody.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely an interesting assignment. And it's really, really open-ended. She said to ask anyone in a horticulture career that you're interested in.
Mhm.
And like me and Leanna, I'm not on social media, but Leanna is. So we'll sit on Leanna's phone and we'll look through all the things that you're doing. And so I immediately thought of you because the things that I want to do feel so abstract. So like seeing people in action is very like helpful and grounding, and seeing a path is always helpful.
I want to
So
give you a few. I want to give you a few more, because I understand that this is for you too. I want to give you a few more things. Okay. One, I'm going to share about a chapter in my book that we just finished working, and right now we're thinking about like adding another chapter, but we might not. So here's one chapter in my book. Anna Maria and I our minds were so much on what we learned and what we saw working for other people, but it didn't work with us. Not all like business models worked well with us. So for example, Anna Maria was really passionate about flowers, and we've seen these people, I mean, on Instagram, give me a break, making 100 grand off like a quarter acre of flowers, leave me alone, ignore, block this Instagram. Right? And we tried, and we're like, dude, this is not working with us. And then I remembered a story from a permaculture course, which was like how about, you know, more like wild and native plants, doing it like that. And we're like, well, okay, we know like kind of like the life cycle, that if we try to grow some of these natives and more wildflowers, it's going to take a while. It's not going to be like cultivated flowers that we know kind of like the timing and all that. And we also want to do it in a way that's supernatural. We're not supernatural. Isn't that cool? Very natural, right? Like, whereas like we're not using irrigation, and we're working with like earthworks and all that. Anyway, you probably know a few things from the waterworks and permaculture. So what we did, we invested, I don't know, probably like $100 in seeds, and we got some wild sunflower seeds that we already saw growing around our area. This was in San Clemente. And then we got some lupine seeds that were also pretty inexpensive from a local nursery there. And then we got, and I remember these two because these are the ones that came up. And then we got some other wildflowers. And we basically went on our hill. We made some really, I don't know, we worked probably like 3 days total. And we threw all those seeds. And we knew the vision was that next year that's going to happen. They're going to come up. Okay. So we did this, you know, in March of, I don't even remember, probably like 2014. And then we forgot about like what we did, because we did so many other things. It was there in our, you know, and I started since then to put things in calendar, that I started specific projects that might pan out later, like my blueberries and blackberries here right now, and fruit trees. Like my calendar in 2025 say, go and pick 100 apples, you know, or something like that. So, wow, the year after, we started to see all these lupines coming up, and many others that did not. But why did we grow lupines? It wasn't for the flowers. it was for people to come take pictures because it looked so beautiful and they could take, and that was Anna Maria's creativity. And then to pick the seeds and sell the seeds because it's a nitrogen fixer and it's a native plant in the area, right, where we were. So we were like, wow. So we made money from people taking pictures, not a lot, because that's also like a business in itself. And then we picked all the seeds and we sold in the community and we made a little bit of money. But what was amazing was that the sunflowers came after that. Okay. And that was probably like a little bit later in the season. I think like in June they started. We sold so many bouquets of flowers we could not believe. And it was like just never ending. And that was with like $100 of seeds and 3 days of work. And then kind of like right now that we started to talk about this. And then we told the people, we recorded, we made the video, we made the, right? And now it's in my book with perfect numbers that shows people, here's how we use this space. So we took a chance. We lost some of the work and money because those seeds didn't come that we planned them to come. But the ones that did. And that gave us such a big oomph in our business and in everything that we did because we were able to put the money in other things and made us feel like really good about it. So very out of the box thinking and the type of patient that you can still invest in that type of thing. Okay. Of course, if we were putting fruit trees, we would have waited 5 years and way more money invested. So see how this was different. Okay. So that's like in our book. And it just says that, you can have access to somebody's land. You can have access to your own land and use it properly, even if you don't have the finances to invest in those things. And guess what? Since then, we've repeated that in Anza when we got the farm in the desert. And then we've repeated that here right now. And it's just insane because we've been here for 3 years. So now we know what seeds works and what don't work and which flowers stay well in a bouquet and which ones don't. And everybody here is spending thousands of dollars to raise flowers to sell. And we just like did a one-time investment of just growing seeds. And, this is still recording, but we did it on a full moon naked outside. You know what I mean? Just like make it a ritual or something. So that's one thing that was like really, really powerful to us. Another thing that we did that I also invite you to consider. So that's from a farming point of view. You could find the land, you could find those seeds, you could just risk it and just do it. And if whatever survives for the birds and the bugs and whatever. And especially because you're in plant propagation. That's one thing. Another thing that we did is like, we've always invited people for cool free events at our place. Okay. And free events are hard because you have to put your work in it. And you have to really think really well about what those free events are. And you do it for the people. And the people that we invited to these free events are our biggest customers and are our biggest supporters in all kinds of things. But it didn't happen after the first free event because we didn't know what format to do it. How do we have the people drink the Kool-Aid that Anna Maria and Luciana are cool people and they want to support our work? And, people buy things from us because they love us. You know what I mean? Which is cool. Okay. And they still benefit a lot from it. Okay, so with that said, I will also put it in the book, what works when it comes to free event. And I can tell you right now here too, what works. Like you have to invite people for them to bring always something that's an exchange works, like come and exchange your seeds. Seeds exchanges work. So we figured that seeds exchange work. But then, okay, seeds exchange happen in the spring before the planting. What else do we do in summer? What else do we do in fall? So you're going to have to buy my book to find out. But there's all kinds of things that you can invite people, like come and exchange your tomatoes, your radishes, later on in the season. Come and, help us braid our garlic and you take some garlic home or something like that. People are like, oh my God, organic garlic is $20 a pound. We better go get some garlic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's like, and when you do these things, they help you grow so much in that direction. You can be completely absent from the thing. You just say, welcome, here's how this is going to happen. come on in. Or you can even program it and teach people something for free that you're really good at. What are you good
Mhm.
at? Propagating plants. Most people don't even know that. Most gardeners, like, they're having even difficulty with starting seeds, I had difficulty starting seeds until I saw somebody explain it right. So thank you for staying this extra time.
Yeah,
There's,
thank you.
there's some ideas and you can move in that direction easily.
Yeah.
May I have your may I have your permission to share this video?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Did it
And
help?
thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate the time and
Yeah.
effort you're putting in.
Did you help her? Did you help you a little bit?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it's an ongoing thing, building the knowledge to know what I'm gonna do. But yeah, it's always helpful to hear people's journeys and hear, how they got where they got.
I'd be willing to connect you with Anna Maria if you would like.
Yeah.
And I'd be willing to share with you. And if you'd like some more, like, mentorship, whatever, I'm really good at helping people create visions for themselves. I can run you through like a vision generator exercise. It's very easy. I'm really good at helping people kind of create like a good holistic plan. And I feel like you're the type of person that you do the entire exercise and then follow through. I'll be willing to do it for free with you if you want to do something like that. And then if you guys like have any questions, just shoot them over. I'm accessible, unlike other people think that I'm not accessible, even if I do a lot of things. I'm really passionate about people that are passionate about things, so just reach out. And I really love Leanna, so
She's great.
all right. Well, I'm gonna go and tell the goats I'm sorry for not milking them this morning. I'm gonna go milk my goats.
Sounds good.
All
I
right.
hope you get it all done before it gets
Bye.
frozen out there.
Let's reconnect soon.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You guys, good luck with everything and just keep at it. Don't be disappointed. It's just our world wasn't designed for, well, at least right now. It's definitely difficult to be in this realm, but we have to do it. We have to do it, man. You can't give up. You can't just be like, okay, I'll go work in a restaurant because, no, just keep at it, please.
Yeah,
We'll see
absolutely.
you soon.
See you
See
soon.
you. Bye.
Thank you.